Afternoon guys, we're going to start this video with a little look at a box that arrived. I'll put that up the right way from my good friend Toto. And before we start the main bulk of today's video, let's see what's in the box, because everybody likes a good unboxing video, and what's in here is quite important for the job that is at hand today. So let's see if I can actually work out how to get in here. So we'll just go around here. Okay, so what have we got? We've got a set of rear window seals. So these are for the rear quarter lights, I suppose you'd call them, the rear windows, driver and passenger, as the ones in the car were completely and utterly disintegrated, so I had to cut them out. We have a latch for the sunroof, and we also have in here the, can't really see them in there, but the little rivets which actually hold the centre bar on the sunroof in place. So I'm sure you can kind of guess what we're going to be doing as the main job. We also have in here a nice tidy beige sunroof. This is going on the green car, but is identical to the one that's on the blue car. It's a really nice colour, and the guy that's buying the car really likes it. So going to be looking at installing certainly the sunroof. Okay, I have a frame, I have a centre bar, I have a rear bar. I'll show you how to put it all together and install it, and that's the reason why I sanded, buffed and polished the roof earlier in an earlier video, because what I wanted to do is have that all finished so that when I install the sunroof, I don't then have to rebuff the entire thing and kind of cover it in sloppy bits of green water. If you like the parts today and you like what is being installed, you certainly could do a lot worse than checking out Toto at Ricambi Fiat 500. I think my lens is a little bit smudged there. Whoop. I think I've just made that worse. Anyway, I'll stick a photo of that up later on. So let's get out to the garage and let's get cracking on installing this. So we're back out in the garage, and it literally sounds like Noah's flood is happening outside. So all of a sudden the weather has gone from being really warm to, well, really warm but massive rain. So I am kind of hoping that you can hear me over the top of this. Otherwise I'm going to have to massively try and boost this sound in editing, and it might sound a little bit odd, but we'll go with it for the moment. So laid out here you can see the components of a Fiat 500 sunroof, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 major components. So obviously you have the fabric itself. You also have a centre bar like this, which is riveted through the middle of the fabric sunroof, and we'll do that in a little bit. You have a rear metal strip here, which again sits inside the fabric and is then bolted through. It has little captive studs on here, and nuts go up from underneath inside there. And then you have the main front section of the sunroof here, which has a little foam strip, and it also has little holes there which the main sunroof kind of screws into. Now what I've done with this is I have tried to reuse as many pieces of the original car as possible, sort of throughout the build really, because I just feel if you're going to restore a car, you're either going to restore a car or you're going to completely rebuild a car with brand new bits. And then, well, how much the original car is left, and do you have a new car or do you have a sort of restored car. So we've gone for kind of restoration but sympathetic, and this is just kind of a little bit more of the same. So I'm going to try and do this without scratching the roof itself. So in order to do that, I'm going to just stop filming here, and I'm going to move to do the building of this kind of more down on the garage floor. So again, my mate Hippie Dave, who runs the Slot R channel that I occasionally sort of link up in here, was complaining about recording vocals in his shed and doing voiceovers in his shed, and I arrogantly sort of laughed and said, well, it's not going to be a problem for me because I'm in the garage, so the rain doesn't matter. I'm slowly beginning to realise I'm going to eat those badly chosen words. So let's have a little look at this and get as much sound as I can. So here is the fabric. This is the front end of the fabric. You can see it's sewn in here into little pockets in the corner. And if we then take the sunroof main bar, we can kind of tuck that into the corners of this, like so, and it sits in there, and that's basically where it stays. Now I will be, again, just off camera, I will be fixing the fabric into the holes here, which are drilled in position, and again we'll just kind of tuck that up in there, and we'll screw into there just to kind of hold that in position at the front end. I don't want to do it just yet because I want to make sure I've got it as tight, the correct level of tightness. So that's the first part. You have also, I'm just going to take that out for a second whilst we look at the mid bar. So in the middle here you can see there are some little holes where, again, rivets are going to go through, and the centre bar simply sits up against there like that, and is riveted in from both sides. Again, I haven't really got enough hands to try and do this on camera, but you end up with a bar that is there like that, which is why you've got these rubber ends, because this sits over the roof, and the last thing you want to do is have this gnawing its way through the paintwork every time the roof moves about, as it's wont to do every time it goes over a bump, or, you know, the wind or whatnot. It's gonna rub, and you don't really want it to rub. And this rear part, you can see there are a number of holes in there, and what happens with this is we have our main roof bar like that, and I can get this around the correct way. What we want to do is we get these, like, oh, might help if I actually got it in the right holes. This sits in across the back here, it folds over, and these little fabricy bits kind of sit here, and the whole thing is then screwed into place. So that back bit folded over like that sits in against the roof, and then obviously that stops the metal from rubbing through, and we end up with it being held nice and taut between here and the front bit, which is held in place with a clamp. So I'm going to just stop the camera for a moment. I'm going to put together the front edge with some of the screws through, and then I'm going to rivet the centre panel, centre bar in I should say, and then we'll drop it on the roof and just have a little look at how it's sitting. Okay, so as promised, what I've done is I've just riveted these through here, and they're nice, just push fit, and that's your centre bar sitting in there. Now what I've started doing is just affixing the fabric to the front here, just a few wrinkles in it, and I haven't fully bolted it down because what I want to do is to check the alignment and the tightness of the fabric on the roof, just to see if I need to make any adjustments to the positioning of any of those screws in there. So what I'm going to do now, and again I'm going to do this off camera because it just takes ages, is I'm going to bolt the cross brace that sits on that part of the roof. I'm going to bolt that down to here. It's just what, 7 mil of the 7 mil nuts on those little studs, so I can affix the back. When I fix the back, I'll then connect these to the little sunroof bolts in the roof, and then what we can do is we can sort of move the roof backwards and forwards and just ensure that it's kind of tight enough at both ends, and it sits nicely and stuff, and then what we can do is make any adjustments to here or to the back end if necessary. So I want to put these in loose, not that loose, but loose enough that there's a bit of movement, so when the canvas stretches it will pull it all nice, and then we'll come back in a moment and see how that looks. So again, just fitting these things loosely to start off with. What I've done is I've affixed this rear bar down. Now I haven't affixed it fully at either edge, and it's just loosely bolted into place, but you can see where it sits along the sort of edge of the roof there, and again it will sit butted up against there as it should. Blow some of the dust off there. What I've got is these main sort of sunroof frame bolts in place. You can see there's the centre bar sitting in there, and the roof is just sitting back in its folded position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip it forwards and just see A, whether this lines up, B, whether this tightens up sort of as expected, and then, you know, say if I need to sort of loosen and just change some of the positions of these little bolts over there. So we'll just fold it forwards as if we were putting the roof up in the car. So you can see it's relatively tight, which is good. So that would obviously clamp down there, and we'll steam out this this crease. Looks like it's not quite lined up properly over there, so we'll do a bit of adjustment. That's just on the fitting of the fabric on the bottom of the bar, but we've got our nice centre section in there, and the bit where it's properly bolted down, the roof sits nicely. As I say, this area over this side I haven't actually bolted down yet because I just wanted to check whether or not the whole thing fitted, and indeed the whole thing does fit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back, and I'm going to, from underneath, bolt in all of the nuts there to permanently affix this. As original, going to run self-tappers from here through the fabric just to hold those corners down, and once that is held in place correctly over there, what we'll do is we'll go back and start adjusting the front. But because it's just a little bit of sort of tweaking and adjustment, I will do that off camera, and then we'll revisit it on camera once it's fully finished. And let's just put that roof back properly, and then what we can do is we can affix the actual latch mechanism there and the latch mechanism onto there, and then we'll actually be able to open and close the roof as Mr. Fiat intended. Okay, so I got a little bit carried away finishing that off camera. I just literally forgot to start recording. So I've now finished tying in both sides. I can't really get around there to film. As I say, we just need to steam that crease out there. But we've also got in here, I've fitted the latch mechanism and the catch that goes on. So if excuse the mess inside the car, it now works exactly like the blue one. So just latch it off there, and then you just lift the roof up like that, and there we are, all nicely folded. So I'm going to keep it shut for the minute, because if I keep it shut, it's going to just stretch the fabric in nicely. So get that in there, and again, you can hear it just creaking as it is stretching into place. So there we have a nice beige sunroof on the nice green car. So thanks for watching, and as I say, if you enjoyed that, follow the progress of this, or follow the progress of any of the other cars we've got on the channel. So till the next time, take care.